Welcome back to Parts Talk. We're moving forward with our dealership experience to now dealership strategies. Today we have guest Stephen Bennett. Stephen is a proven service dealer strategist whose experience encompasses a wide range of brands, makes and models across numerous geographical markets. You will hear his strategies and what it took to stay atop of an industry that demands value to stay relevant yesterday, today, and for tomorrow. You can find the full video of this podcast on my YouTube channel, Parts Manager Professional. Remember to like and share this podcast. Also, listed in the description box is information on how to make a donation. Let us begin. Stephen Bennett, welcome.
Thank you much, sir. Thank you much.
Glad you could join me on this such short notice, but I'm going to get right into it. Could you kindly just introduce yourself? Let us know exactly what you're all about.
Well, my name is Stephen Bennett. I'm an ASE certified master technician. I've also been a service manager for quite a few dealerships, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai in Latin America. I'm also a Hendrix master. You know, when you called me about the meeting, I was going through all of my certifications here and coming up with all the different ones and realizing how far back this thing actually go. I pulled up a certification in 1990.
1990.
So you're how old I am, brother.
1990. 1990. I was still in high school, and I am 46.
Exactly. So you say you're a little boy for me, sir.
But for better understanding, tell us what ASC is.
Automotive Service of Excellence. Basically, it's the golden standard. See this one here? I don't know if you can see the date on that.
Okay, yeah, 1990, 1990. Yeah. October 25th, yeah, 1990, yeah. Yes.
A long time ago. But it's Automotive Service Excellence. What it is a gold standard by which technicians are judged in the United States. So you know what level of your game you really are. You have basically like entry level technicians. And then it moves all the way up to a master. And then from a master, you have an additional test you can take, which is called an L1. Once you're L1 certified, basically that means that you're well-rounded. You can work on basically anything: trucks, buses, cars, diesel, gas engines. You kind of have the full gamut underneath your belt.
Okay. It's similar to what we have here in Canada called a Red Seal certification.
Red Seal certification, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So 1990 till now, tell us a little about your adventures.
Well, I think I am one of the rare breeds. I've had the luxury of working in the United States as well as the Caribbean,
right,
as well as Latin America. So I'm kind of like a unicorn in the industry.
Yes.
I've had the experience in working in all three different markets. I was working with Hyundai in Latin America for 4.5 years, running service operations for their trucks and buses down there, industrial.
Okay.
You know, right. And that project gave me a whole different insight on this industry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. Culturally, how much your culture really affects how you interact with people and you know, how to navigate this industry. I've seen, you know, the things I've experienced in the Caribbean, I've never experienced in Latin America, and what I've experienced in Latin America, I never experienced anywhere else.
Okay, so there are no similarities. That's what you're saying?
Zero. I think culturally, there's a lot of things that affect how the automotive industry functions, right? Like, in particular in the Caribbean, what I've noticed more than anything else is it has to do with what, you know, in the States, they call it cronyism. You know,
cronyism, right? And nepotism. Yeah, the isms and the schisms. Yeah, we're familiar with it. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not typically about your knowledge base and what you're bringing to the table. It's more about, you know, who you hang out with on the weekend.
Yeah.
That's the Caribbean and Latin America.
Yes.
Whereas in the United States, and I'm sure in Canada as well, it's about your knowledge base and what you're really bringing to the table. You know what I mean? What you can show and prove. It's not about who you hang out with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's based on my experience. It's a little bit of both.
Hmm.
Um,
In Canada.
yeah, in Canada, they will hire you based on what you know and
Hmm.
what you bring to the table. But at the same time, no, in order to get a certain position, you have to know
Yeah.
someone higher up.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's how it
Well,
is.
or figure out the best way how to buddy up to the next guy and
Exactly,
up the rank.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
if they like you, if they like you enough, you'll get that position, right? You
Oh
always have
yeah.
to have that godfather in tow, looking
Hmm.
out for you. That's basically
Oh
what it
yeah.
is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the United States, what was your stint like in the US? How long did you work
Well,
there?
oh man. Well, my whole situation started from I had a girlfriend at the time that I was kind of a little knucklehead guy, running around doing what knucklehead kids do.
Hmm.
And her uncle saw me and said, "Listen, when you're really ready to get serious with your life, come and see me."
Right.
And you've had these invites from adults back in those days, at least, all the time. I was like, he had a garage,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until I was ready to buy my first car. All my friends had cars. I was never the one interested in going and getting into the whole automotive game. My whole thing was I was going to school to be a pilot.
Okay.
Okay, go attending aviation school, George T. Baker Aviation in Miami, Florida, and the bus situation was really hectic in South Florida at the time. So I was telling myself, man, I got to get off this bus and I need to buy a car.
Hmm.
But I didn't have the money to buy a car like that because all my money was being spent on my education.
Right. Right.
So I'm driving past this dealership every day on the bus, and they had this old beat up Toyota Corolla parked in the back of the lot. And something just told me, hey, get off this bus and go ask that man what he's doing with that car. And I got off the bus. I went in the lot. I found out who the owner was. I said, listen, you have that old beat up Toyota Corolla. It was a 1981 Toyota Corolla,
Yeah.
1.8.
Yeah.
Sitting in the back of the lot. They had
Those were
everything.
the AE 71s. I remember the model numbers.
Right, the
Yeah.
box car. Yeah. Everybody
The
turned him
box, yeah,
into
about the
Crazy
box
Racer.
Corolla, yeah.
Yeah. So I went back there and I asked him, what you doing with that car? He said, well, the engine is blown. Car is no good. That's why it's just sitting there. And we don't want to spend any money on the engine. I said, all right, how much do you want for the body? He said, well, give me $250 and you have to tow it out of here.
Yeah.
I said, all right. I didn't even have the $250. You understand? I told him, I said, I have $200. I had just gotten paid on the Friday.
Hmm.
And I gave him the $200 and I actually walked home from the dealership that day from where the car was located.
Right.
Following paycheck, I went back and I paid him the $50. And I asked a friend of mine to come with me and tie a rope, the
Yeah,
pull
title.
along thing. And we tugged that car out of there, pumped up the tires, and we tugged the car out of there. And I tugged it to where I was living at the time. And the car was sitting there for about 2 months. And my girlfriend kind of retracted. My girlfriend at the time, she said, hey, I have an uncle, Clem. I call this man dad to this day. This man has done more for me in my entire life than my own biological father. It's crazy.
Right, yeah.
This is the man that really put me on the path to where I am right now.
Hmm.
Anyway, I went to him. She told me, hey, go talk to Uncle Clem, see if he'll help you to get it together, get this car together. And I went over there. He was a master technician for Toyota at the time.
Hmm.
And when I went to him, he said, yeah, I'll help you get it together, but you're going to do all the work.
Smart
Yeah,
man.
but I don't know nothing about this. He said, yeah, you'll figure it out. Get the car over here. I have old engines sitting in the back. You'll figure it out. Get the car over here. And I towed the car over there, and one of his son assisted me. And that was the beginning for me. I just never left the trade. Actually, like I told you, I was going to aviation school because I wanted to be a pilot.
Right.
And it got to the point in my life where I was spending so much time at the garage, I needed to make a choice.
Yeah.
Do I continue with aviation or this automotive thing?
Right.
But the automotive thing at the time, I didn't see it as any money. I just knew that it was something I liked doing.
Yeah. It normally starts with a passion. Yeah.
Exactly. We love doing it. The fast cars, everything, the little money I was making at my other job, I was spending it on this car, putting on headers with the downpipe, the backdraft kits and all of that. And it got to the point where I had to make a decision, school or this automotive.
Automotive, yeah.
And I made my choice. I dropped out of school. My entire family was crazy. They looked at me like I fell and hit my head. So you don't want to be a pilot, you want to become a grease monkey? That's what they called it back then.
Yeah, at the time, yeah. Yeah, the lack of respect those days,
Exactly. So I went on with Clement, and I literally worked at that shop 7 days a week. 7 days a week I was there. You didn't have to give me a reason to be there. I was I completely immersed myself into this whole automotive situation. But back then it was about building fast cars. That was our thing. Everybody wanted a street racer. And my Corolla that I had, it went from being a daily driver, getting from point A to point B thing, to a full-blown race car. That's all I wanted to do with this.
They call it, back in those days, they call it a hot rod.
Exactly. That was my thing. So being so dedicated to this industry, to learning the trade. Clement, he had the garage, but he was also working for Potemkin Toyota in Miami at the time.
Yeah.
He told me, he said, listen, you can't just, every money that you get in, because he was paying me at the shop as well, but it wasn't nothing significant. It was more about learning the trade. He came to me one day and said, listen, you can't just be doing this every day like this. You have to, what's your game plan? What's your next move? And I said, I'm not really sure. Hello? Did I lose you? Okay.
No, you're okay.
Yeah. I said, I'm not really sure. What do you think? He said, well, I think personally that if you're going to be serious with this, I can get you a job at Potemkin Toyota. And I thought about it long and hard. And eventually I said, yeah, let's do it. He went and he spoke to the service manager, Bill Mercado. Never forget this guy. This is the guy that really gave me my first shot in the automotive game, and the first manager that fired me.
That's why I won't forget him.
Story.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story, but he gave me my shot, and initially they hired me as the guy that would come around and mop the floor. So if the technician dropped something on the floor, oil, whatever it is, oil spill, I was the guy that was right behind him. What is going on with his camera? Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I was the guy that was right behind the technician, mopping up the oil, cleaning up the bathrooms, taking out the garbage, disposing of the old parts, all of that stuff. Until Clement came to me one day and said, listen, I went and I spoke to Bill and explained to him that you're quite advanced. You don't need to be doing all of that menial stuff. You need to be on the line.
On the line, on the floor,
Right. So Bill said, okay, he came to me and said, listen, I'm going to give you a shot. You're going to be our lube tech. Back then, they didn't really have designations to lube techs and stuff like that. Everybody did everything in the shop. 1 second. Let me set up this thing a little bit better because it keeps falling. Yeah, that's better. So everybody did everything. And I got on the line as a lube tech. And I went from... when you're working in a dealership, it's a completely different situation. You know what I mean? It's not like a private garage. So everybody have to be clean. You have to be maintained.
Yeah, organized,
Yeah, there was a guy that used to work there, Errol, God rest his soul. Errol used to ask me, how is it? What am I doing every day while I was covered in grease from head to toe? Like, I looked like I was working inside of the engine instead. You understand? But my uniform was black, and he's like, what are you doing? Why do you get so dirty? There's no need to get so dirty. But it's part of the learning process.
Yeah.
You understand? It went so far. I went so far into this whole industry that learning that it got to the point where my girlfriend used to say to me, you didn't go to work today. You're too clean. Yeah. So it's just to show the process. You understand?
Yeah. I remember because a lot of guys when you see them in uniform, they're going out or they're going on the road or they're running an errand or anything like that, and people used to look at them and say, "You're not a mechanic." Or they're used to mechanic being a grease monkey, as you say.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to go home in my last stint, my nails were impeccable. Like a lot of people couldn't believe that I was actually a mechanic.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But that's my story. How I started in this.
Oh, you started out very interesting. Let's go a little bit now into how you got involved in the dealership right out. Your transition from being on the floor to a service manager.
Well, going back to the same gentleman, Bill Mercado, who was a service manager at the time. He gave me opportunities, but being young and still trying to decide on my path in life, there's a lot of things that he threw on me at the time that I wasn't ready for.
Yeah.
You understand? And he basically came to me one day and he said to me, I'm sorry, but I have to let you go. And I said, but I don't understand. I'm doing everything right. He said, yeah, but you have passion for race cars, but you will never be anything in a dealership.
Really?
Dealership environment as opposed to a street mechanic is two totally different things.
And
a lot of guys would not understand that until you come off the street and start working in a dealership.
Yeah.
You understand? But at the time, I didn't get it. I just felt like this man had something against me. But when he pointed that out to me, I took it as a challenge for myself to improve, because I needed to find out what this man is talking about. He's telling me that I would never be anything in a dealership.
Yeah.
You understand? So he fired me. And when he fired me, I went home and I sat and I thought about it long and hard. I could either take this as a defeat or I could take this as a challenge to step up to that level that he's thinking about, even though I didn't know what it was at the time. So I called up Clement, which is my mentor, my teacher, and I was like, what is Bill talking about? He's saying that I'll never be good enough for this industry. What exactly is it that he's looking for that I didn't provide to you guys? He's saying, well, a lot of training programs came up that you never took advantage of. Back then, it was the Toyota T10 program. Now they have the T21, I believe it is.
Yeah, T21,
right?
yeah.
Right. But back then, it was the T10 program, and the dealership was actually paying for your training.
Right, yeah.
But I was too busy racing cars and out there looking for girls and doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. Like I told you, I had a girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
Right? So I was doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And what I got from that whole scenario was that nobody's going to take me serious until I took myself serious.
Yeah.
You understand? So I went back and I spoke to Bill. I asked him for my job, and he says, not as long as he's alive will I ever work back at Toyota. Which is crazy, huh? That's what he said. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to allow this guy to stop me.
Yeah.
And I literally walked 3 blocks up the street, and I walked into Mazda. And I explained word for word what took place to the service manager there at the time. His name is Glenn Uni, one of the best service managers, one of the best gentlemen I've ever worked for, bar none.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, you know what? He asked me, he said, how much are you looking for in a salary? I told him, I said, back then, $13 and $10 an hour was money.
Yeah.
You understand? Was making decent money. I told him, I said, I want $15 an hour. His eyes got this big. I said, you stupid? There's no way I'm going to pay you $15 an hour. I said, here's the deal. I want you to give me 3 months. I'm going to work for you 3 months for free. I don't want no pay for 3 months. But at the end of the 3 months, if I'm meeting all of the goals that you asked, if you said I'll set out for me, if I meet all of those goals, you're going to pay me what I asked for.
Yeah.
And he looked at me, he said, you serious? You willing to do that? I said, yeah. At the end of the day, you're not losing. It's a win-win for the dealership.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're earning off of this technician, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, he said, legally, we can't do that because we can't have you working here without paying you.
Right.
But he said, if you hit our targets every month, you have my word. I'll give you your $15 an hour.
Okay.
And believe me when I tell you, I stayed at that dealership. I was there at 6:45 every morning on the dot. And sometimes I didn't leave there until 10, 11 o'clock at night.
At night, yeah.
Make sure I made my hours, my quotas. And the one thing I think that was my driving force that whole time was I needed to go back to Bill Mercado and say, ha, look at this.
Yeah, you were motivated.
I had fire under my foot.
Yeah.
You understand? And it's crazy that we're talking about this right now because one of the certifications that I have is my Mazda. I don't know if you can see it, but
yeah, senior technician.
Mazda, senior technician plaque that I got from Mazda. That same gentleman, Glenn Uni. I got this plaque 1 year after I got fired from Toyota. Toyota. Yeah. You understand? And I made sure I took it back down to Toyota and I showed. I said, Bill, I got something to show you.
Yeah.
And I made sure I showed him this plaque.
Yeah.
You understand? So if you don't challenge yourself in this game, you'll never win. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you have to set goals and challenges.
Yeah, you know? Definitely. With all that experiences and the drive and the passion, how did you become a manager? I'm just trying to move it forward.
Yeah, moving it forward. How I transitioned was working in a dealer environment. As a technician, there comes a point where you hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
You understand? It's very difficult to transition from being a line tech into management. Okay? Mm-hmm. It ties in with you being exceptionally buddy or chummy with management. So you become a favorite and then they kind of choose you.
Yeah.
You understand? You know, you've been in the industry a long time yourself, so you know that's how it works.
Yeah.
But my personality is not like that. You've worked with me. You know how I work. Mm-hmm. My thing is it's not about talking about it. It's about showing it.
Yeah.
You understand? It's about numbers, ones and zeros, and proving your point.
Yeah.
It's about how you speak to a customer, how you deliver your product. At the end of the day,
you judge someone by their actions, not by what they say. Yeah.
Right. But that's the environment that I'm coming from, where if I want something, I'm going to go out and work at it. I'm going to make it the best that I can possibly do, you know? So I realized when I was in the dealership, in the dealer environment, that I hit a ceiling. Like there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And the job wasn't challenging enough for me anymore. Like I think my last dealership gig when I was on the line was at Al Hendrickson. Is it Al Hendrickson? I'm trying to remember which one of the Honda dealerships I was at the time.
Yeah.
That was my last. I was in Atlanta. Anyway, that was my last gig. And I realized that these guys, they're not gonna give an opportunity like that to a little guy like me.
Yeah.
So I have to create my own opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Understand? So one of the things that I did was, which every line tech at a dealership does at some point, is I started up my own little shop.
Yeah.
I had my own little shop going on in Conyers, Georgia. And it grew so fast that I was in a position where I was able to step away from the dealership environment.
Uh-huh.
Right. And I was running my own operation. Now, what ended up happening because of that is a lot of technicians, even some of the service advisors that still work for the dealerships, they were like, hey, we can't fix this problem. Call Steve.
They will send, they will recommend their customers to come to you. Yeah.
Exactly. He'll take the time. And to be fair, a lot of line technicians, because you're working on a flat rate schedule in the States. I mean, in the Caribbean, it's a little bit different. And in Latin America, it's a little bit different. But when you're in the States and Canada, it's all flat rate time.
Yeah.
You understand? So a lot of technicians don't have the ability to invest that time in really diagnosing and fixing a problem on a vehicle.
Yeah.
Whereas I had that ability. I could take your car and sit on that car for the day.
Yeah.
Out what's going on with it, diagnose it down to the T, and repair that problem. So a lot of service advisors was realizing that I had this skill. And if you've ever really worked in a dealership, you know that it's easy. Just like the customers get frustrated, the staff gets frustrated.
Yeah.
You understand? And people start getting aggravated, irritated when they see it. You see a customer coming through the door, you're like, oh,
yeah. So someone to run and hide.
Exactly. Some actually do run and hide. But what ended up happening is a lot of the service advisors started employing the honesty factor. They're like, listen, we can't fix this. Yeah. You understand? Our guys is not going to invest the time into diagnosing what is going on with your car.
Yeah, and it's gonna take a long time.
And it's gonna cost a lot of money, because if we're doing a flat rate time, the average technician is gonna ask for a diagnosis process. I mean, now in these days the systems are quite advanced, where the CAN systems and all of that.
Plug and play, and that's it.
And play. But back then it wasn't like that. You need to pull out your voltmeter and get to work. You understand? Figure out what's going on, pin in, pin out on ECUs and all of that.
Yeah.
And a lot of tech advisors was like, listen, we can't get into it like that on your vehicle, so call this guy up. So what ended up happening is one customer would come to me, they would get satisfied with what it is that I did on their vehicle, and then they would recommend their whole family.
Word of mouth is the best form of advertisement.
Exactly. And then my business grew by leaps and bounds in a very, very short. As a matter of fact, it grew so fast that I was not able to really stay abreast of everything. Understand me? So, that's basically that. So I was operating my own shop for a moment, several years actually, and I went through a divorce. D word. Yeah. And it happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, because you dedicate so much time in cultivating a business that you neglect other areas of your life, and that's what happened to me. Right?
When you try to build somewhere, and somewhere else gets neglected. It's a circle of life.
Exactly. So I went through a divorce, and during the divorce, a lot of things happened. A lot of things was played out that I basically took it as an opportunity to move back to the Caribbean.
Reinvent yourself.
Reinvent myself. Exactly. So I came to Jamaica, and I was there. Actually, I came to Jamaica for 3 weeks. I came on vacation to just kind of clear my mind. And the 3 weeks turned into 3 months, and the 3 months turned into 6 months. And then it got to the point I realized that I can't just be sitting here and just not doing anything. I have all this talent. And there's a lot of young guys here that is in need of the knowledge of this talent. Right? I came to Jamaica, and I called around, and I went to a few dealerships looking at their situation. And to me, it was like these guys are trapped in the 70s. You understand?
It's just the old way of thinking.
Exactly. Their systems weren't advanced. Their throughput, layout, everything was just wrong. Right? Like, this is how dealerships ran back, like when I was first starting trade. You understand me? And beyond. So,
and a lot of that has to do with the exposure, especially at the top. The top didn't know exactly what was going on in the rest of the world, right?
Exactly.
You grew up in Jamaica. You hardly go anywhere. You hardly go on conferences and seminars and workshops and all this. And then there's little or no exposure.
So, when I called up Toyota, I actually called them over the phone, and I spoke to the service manager at the time. And I said, listen, I'm here in Jamaica. I just came back from the States. This is my experience. I'm an ASC certified master tech, He said, hey, come in and see me. So I went in, and I actually brought my little certification book here. And This is just this is a small one.
It's like a thesis.
Yeah, exactly.
A
This
small
is a
thesis,
small
yeah.
one. But I never played around. When I got into the dealership environment, every dealership I've ever worked at, the first thing I asked them, hey, let me know how your training program is.
Yeah.
You understand? There was
Yeah,
a point when I was
that's
actually
essential. Yeah.
exactly when I was with Honda. Like a lot of the training seminars was not in Atlanta itself. It was in North Carolina.
Right.
And back then, that is. Now they've moved the operation to Atlanta, Georgia. But a lot of it I paid out of my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? To go and stay in the hotel. The training was provided through the manufacturer, but I paid it out of my pocket because I just wanted to go. They're like, nah, we have this guy and this guy slated to go. We're paying for their trip.
Right.
And I was like, hey, if you can get me on the schedule to attend the program, to attend the class, I'll pay for my own hotel. Okay. I'll drive my own car to go to the training. You understand? Because I knew that at the end of the day, when I walk out of those training programs with these certifications, it only makes me a better
your
technician.
credentials, make your credentials
not
better.
Just for the credentials, but my diagnosis, me being able to diagnose a problem in the car literally was cut in half and then cut down to a quarter of the time. You understand that? When you're on a flat rate system, it's about how fast you can get that job done. Yeah. You understand? So like when I was at the Honda in my last stint, a lot of guys were puzzled. How is this guy turning 160, 180 hours per pay period? It's because I applied myself.
Yeah.
You understand? When that car is coming through the bay door, I know exactly what I'm listening for before it even gets into my bay.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I know that engine has a miss. I know what's going on with it. So it's like, it's taken another technician 2 hours to diagnose this. I have it diagnosed in 5 minutes.
But you see, based on what I'm hearing so far, you contributed to two things. One is that you have proven the analysis that the more experienced technicians normally go out and start their own shops, right? Oh, yeah. And then what that does now is cause a chain reaction, because the far more experienced and knowledgeable employees are no longer a part of the dealership, and that is why dealerships are lagging behind. So
exactly. It becomes like a brain drain situation for dealers.
Exactly. So, yes, that's exactly what it is, and that's why to me personally, I feel that the dealership environment right now is suffering. So, which leads me to my next question to you: how has operations changed in the dealership environment since you left it?
To be honest with you, I don't see it as changing enough. There's not real much change, because there's still a cronyism, there's still a nepotism. It's not a knowledge-based environment anymore. It's about a friendship situation.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, like here in the Caribbean, like the average new vehicle that you purchase is 7 to 10 million Jamaican dollars.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
When you mention that, you have to break it down or try to convert it.
I have to convert it to US.
Convert it to US. It sounds scary when you say $1 million.
Exactly. But living here, and like when I first got here, it took me a little while to adjust to it as well. But the reality of it is, every adult, there's two large purchases you make, right? Your house. Buy a vehicle.
Yeah.
Right? We're not working on cars. We're working on your vehicle. I mean, on houses. We're working on your cars, right? Now, if my client comes to me and this person just spent $7 million on a car.
Yeah.
He's bringing that $7 million investment to me because he believes that my knowledge base is grounded in how this unit is put together.
Yeah.
You understand? If there's an issue with it, I should be able to solve it without any issues coming up down the road. You understand? Now, a lot of dealerships have dropped the ball in this regard, in this regard of training the guys, the new guys that come inside of the dealership.
Yeah.
Understand?
I've seen that. Not to interject, but they wait until you're at a certain competence before they try to invest in you.
Exactly. But the bottom line to it is, when those cars are coming in through the bay door, a client just bought a brand new Toyota Corolla or even a Pastel, something small, right?
Right.
And they're coming in that's that person's life investment.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah, you worked hard for it. Yeah.
You work hard for it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So when they bring it to you and you take it around the back in the shop to work on it, they're giving you their life investment with the idea that this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have an issue down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And most dealers, I don't know if it's cost constraints, I don't know what it is, but they refuse to train their guys and get their guys caught up to what is happening in the industry right now.
Yeah.
Every manufacturer changes. I mean, you have some manufacturers that kind of maintain the same engine, basically, one KZ or one, one JZ, exactly
one JZ,
working on. But there's certain things that has changed. The emissions on it has changed. And these guys are not advancing their knowledge enough to know that, hey,
they're not up to date.
No longer is using this system. This is the new system that they're using. But this is how I tap into it or how I program it. Right. A lot of guys don't know. So if I come in and I just spent X amount of dollars on my vehicle and I give it to you and you give it back to me and I have the same problem 2 days from now, I am now a disgruntled client.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You understand? I'm coming back in the dealership screaming and throwing things. You get me? So a lot of like my processes, my diagnosing process and stuff came from that knowledge that I can't give you a vehicle that is not 100% repaired.
Yeah.
You understand? When you and I worked together at Toyota, you saw my practices.
You were, of course, you were very thorough, but I mean, but you see, they weren't ready for that type of thinking. So, I mean, that's basically what it is. Because critical thinking is something that you have to be born with it or you develop it over time, but it comes with experience.
I think critical thinking can be trained, right? But you have to have the passion to want to be trained. Well,
that too, yeah.
You understand? When I took the position at that dealership that you and I worked at together, the first thing that I did was put a training program in place. It didn't exist.
Yeah.
It never existed.
Yeah.
There's actually a budget allocated for a training program for 10, 12 years at the time when I took the position. And I couldn't understand why is it that these guys have no clue about what's going on these cars. Hybrid cars was just coming into the Caribbean at the time.
Yeah.
And I think I went into a team meeting and I asked the guys, okay, well, you see an orange covered cable in a car. What does that mean? Nobody could answer.
Yeah.
Understand? That's the power system. You have guys that's trying to stick power probes in these things.
Part of that was the dissemination of the information, because usually either the manager or a master technician is trained in that capacity, but the information is not passed on it's not passed on to the rest of the staff. So one person, holds on to all that information, and then nothing gets done. And if that guy leaves, all the information leaves with him.
Exactly. See, one of the things that I've read in the Caribbean as well as in Latin America, one of the things that I came across was in a dealership environment, if you're an alignment tech, you only do alignment.
So
I have
specialization. I had a problem with that.
Exactly. If there's no alignment to do that day, you go home zero money. You didn't make any money because we're on a flat rate system, right?
Yeah.
If you are an AC guy, only thing you do is AC.
It's AC, crazy.
Because when I was coming up on the line, we did everything. You did your own alignments, you did your own brakes, your own electrical diagnosis, your own AC repairs.
But I found that was a Caribbean problem. Caribbean and Latin American problem.
Caribbean and Latin America, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You went a little into some of the challenges, because that was my next question to you. But are there any more challenges you see facing the industry right now?
It's hard to really explain, but the dealership itself and the after sales department, there's a huge disconnect. You understand?
Yeah.
Within the dealership environment, a lot of senior managers is not realizing that once the sales department deliver that vehicle to that customer, it's up to the after sale guys to actually take
connect
that client,
connect with the customer.
You understand? And then re-deliver that customer to the sales department at a later date, whether it be 5 years, 10 years down the road. But you need for the service experience to be so superb that this client will think to themselves, hey, these guys treated me so good that I can only buy another brand X.
Right.
You understand? There's a disconnect within senior management, especially here in the Caribbean and in Latin America, where they think once we deliver that car, that's it. We're good. We made this money. You understand? And we don't have to do any more. And if the customer shows back up, kudos to us.
They all know this, but it's just that they say old habits die hard, and that is therein lies the problem. Because when I was doing extensive training right across much of the Africas and the South America, some parts of the Caribbean, and I went mostly to, I went to some parts of Africa and mostly North America. I try to bring back as much information as possible to try to disseminate. And what I found that there was a big division between how we did things in the Caribbean as to how Africa did things, because they concentrated mostly on the absorption rate, as you know, right? They try to keep it to a maximum of at least 80-90%, because they know that they know that after sales is the lifeblood of the dealership, right? Selling a car is just straight gravy, straight profits for them, because they wanted that customer to always come back. And then when I came here to North America now and saw how they did things, right? They have a thing called customer workshop clinic. Right? Whereby they, after a particular period of time, like 2 months, 3 months after the sales, they invited all those customers back to the dealership, introduce them to parts, introduce them to service, put the car up on the stand, carry them around into the back of the service apartment, set out the tables and chairs and a big screen, and walk them through. You get what I'm saying? And reintroduce them to their car as if it's a brand new sales experience all over again, and get them intimately involved with their car, the performance and everything, right? So after that, now you're basically tying the customer back to the dealership. You get what I'm saying? Let them feel good about themselves.
My car gets a flat tire, I need to call one of these service advisors over here, because they're going to have a solution.
That's how you build customer relationships.
Exactly.
What would be some of your recommendations or suggestions to these dealerships?
Training
consistently.
Training and exposure. A lot of my guys that I had, even here at the dealership that you and I worked at together, and in Latin America, I wish there was a program in place that I could send these guys to North America to work at a dealership for 3 months. Because the exposure in a real world environment, dealership running at its full capacity is an invaluable experience. When you take this back home, you have the ability now to see what all your flaws are.
And it goes right back to maybe the educational level. So that's another part.
I wouldn't say it's the educational level. I think what it is that a lot of these guys are hungry, right? They're hungry, but their hunger is placed in the wrong places, in the wrong direction. You understand? There's a way as a manager to kind of get your people to hyper focus, which you saw. I did that when with my team. You saw how I did it. You understand? There was times when we had PDIs coming in the shop, and I was in my shirt and my tie and all of that. I took it off, roll up my sleeves, and I went out there.
Went out on the shop and start working.
Started working with the guys. The first time I did it, every technician in the shop was.
They've never seen it before.
They've never seen this, but one of them actually came to me and it was like, "What are you doing? Don't do that." You understand? They couldn't understand it.
Let me go back a little. Why I said educational level is because just before you came there was a problem as to why. You remember they had a thing called the skills contest. Right. And the guys weren't qualifying for the skills contest, and they couldn't understand why. And then they had to bring in someone from a local institution to come and do a what do they call those evaluation
training
right. an evaluation of what was going on. And when they set the basic test, they realized that a lot of these guys were at a particular educational level that they could comprehend exactly what the next steps would be. Well, a lot of people don't understand those jargons, on your CSIs, customer service index, how you the measurement, right? And then now your how you measure your CSU, the cost per service unit, and all these things. So the numbers are really important. Hopefully, I'm glad that I was able to sum that up. Stephen, thank you very much for your time. I don't want to keep you any longer. I'm going to have to save a lot more information for a part 2, if you don't mind, because
my time. How long we've been dancing around to try and get this thing going.
I know. Try to get a hold of you, because I want to go a little more into the strategies next time, because we can't have someone like you running around with all that information in your head. You get what I'm saying? And it will be good for you to let the industry know exactly what can be done. And we have so many persons, like I said, going, as you mentioned earlier, we go unrewarded, no recognition, right? And that is something that is needed in this industry. So so Stephen, thank you again, and I do hope and look forward to us having another sit down. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you're notified when a new episode is posted. Remember to rate and review this podcast and share it with your friends. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving with a better understanding of the individuals who work in the auto industry. Remember, the videos of these interviews are posted on my YouTube channel, Parts Manager Professional. Until next time, this is Parts Talk.